Good afternoon. My name is Father Kevin Creagh. I'm from Niagara University. It's wonderful to be with you today. Wonderful to come down from the north down to certainly warmer weather here in the south. It was really wonderful to be here in the shrine. It's a wonderful place and very meaningful place for me personally, for my family, and also, of course, for the Vincentian community. So I'm very pleased to be able to come and to preach at the shrine. It's certainly a privilege to do so. Father Pieber asked me to preach on the presentation, which Mary and Joseph bring Jesus to the temple. Powerful a moment for this holy family in which they present Jesus to his faith, to the Father, to the covenant, to the law. Jesus is presented to his faith life, presented to his kinsmen. Mary and Joseph want Jesus to grow up to be a good and just man, a good Jewish person, a good man in his family and in society, good and just before God, good and just before others. So today, this powerful day, he is presented to the Lord. Day in which this holy family celebrates, a day in which Simeon, who receives him, celebrates well. This day I can die, for new life has come into the world, and he is to be a light to all people, a light to even the Gentiles. Powerful moment for Mary and Joseph to hear. Certainly a confusing moment as well. And yet they received this message. As I was reflecting on the presentation, I was reflecting on how in my life I've been presented to other people. And perhaps on the Feast of Presentation, on this passage that we are reflecting on today, you too can think of how many other people in your lives have presented you before God and others. I found myself reflecting, thinking about the privilege of going to my grandparents' house and staying, really the apartment, a small little apartment, and staying overnight. I'm one of 8 children, and the opportunity to go to my grandparents' house and to spend an overnight was an incredible privilege to go and do this alone. Very few things I ever had the opportunity to do alone. And now I was going to have alone time with the grandparents so that they could spoil me. I wanted this time. This is a time to look forward to. And I had the opportunity to do this many times. So I knew what would happen. My parents would drop me off at the apartment. The next morning, my grandmother would make me my favorite breakfast treats. And then it would be time to go to Mass. And my grandparents would present me to the priest. This is our grandson. He's here for a visit, and they were so happy and pleased. And then they would present me to their friends in the parish at Mass. Then they would say the novena prayer, the miraculous medal prayer, so special to them that we would spend some time saying that prayer. Then my grandmother would go and do her little chores and errands, and my grandfather would take me to go and see his friends. We'd stop in and out of shops, and then we'd go down to the park where his friends would hang out. I'd say, this is my grandson, Kevin. Say hello to him. And the wonderful thing is, all those old men would give me $1, and I loved it. This was true presentation. Wonderful time. And then I'd walk so proudly with my grandfather, big tall man, me a little guy, and we walk through the park. Being from New York City, walk along the Hudson River. And I thought this was great. How wonderful to be here. I felt so proud, I felt so special, on cloud 9. Today, in the passage that we're reflecting on, the presentation, Mary and Joseph very proudly present Jesus to the Father. They want him to know that he is a loved person. He is beloved. They want him to know that the God of the covenant, God of the law, God of the prophets, they want him to know his mission in life, to go and to be a just and good man. They want him to feel part of the community and to know his role, his place in it. This is a special time. They are presenting him to the Lord so that he will know who he is. He will know his identity as the Son of God, as soon as the Son of God. Powerful time for this holy family. Today, we celebrate the Reverend Martin Luther King Day. Powerful time in our nation, in fact, in our world, which we celebrate a man who presented the Lord in his being. He looked at his nation, he looked at society, he looked at the world and said, why is there so much inequality and injustice and oppression? Why are we doing this to one another? After all, we have one God. We're brothers and sisters in Christ. Why is there so much division? Why is there hatred? Why can we not get along? What is happening in our world? This ought not be. This need not be in our world. This is not how we were created, and this must end. And he preached with all of his passion, all of love of God. He preached and gave his whole life for it, gave his lifeblood in boldly professing this good news. He presented to us a new way of looking at life, presented to us the God of life, presented to us a way in which we must be before God and before others. And so today is a great day for us to celebrate who we are and to celebrate this man of faith, of courage, of zeal, to celebrate the reality of who we are before God, to remind ourselves, each one of us, of our own baptismal calling, that we are called, each one of us, to present other people to God in who we are, in what we say, in what we do, in what we profess. We too are called to bring others to the Lord, to bring others the love of Christ in what we do and how we help them, how we reach out to them, how we are kind to them, how we recognize in them Jesus Christ. The presentation calls us to be a people who are present to one another, who bring Christ's good news to one another. Let it be our prayer through the intercession of Mary, who presents the Lord to the Father. Let it always be our prayer that we are people who present Jesus Christ to others in our own goodness, in our own desire to be good to one another, to unite one another, to bring others closer to one another. Let us allow ourselves to be brought to the Lord, and let us also be a people who bring others closer to the Lord. I thank you for allowing me to come before you today in this beautiful shrine, to come here where Mary means so much to us and inspires us to always come closer to the Lord, to be Christ bearers in the world. I thank you for this opportunity to come and proclaim this good news of Jesus Christ, to be present with you as you are present with me. Let's go forth and pray with and for one another that we can be Christ bearers to the world.